I'm Felicia, and welcome to my astrology channel. Um, I really wanted to talk about astrology and how astrology has helped me in my life. Um, I like to think of astrology not as a predictive tool, although it can help us predict things and see what's going to happen. But for me, astrology is actually more of a tool for presence and for consciousness and for staying in the here and now. And I think that that's really important because I think all of us have a tendency to future trip, to run away with what could happen, to run away with what has happened. And I think that that stops us from being present in the current moment. And when we're not present in the here and now, it's very hard to connect with those around us. It's very hard to be happy and to be grateful for what we do have, and that stops us from being happy. So maybe it sounds counterintuitive that astrology, this my philosophy about astrology isn't all about the future, but is actually about a tool of staying grounded and present and conscious. So with that, I think that it's very fortuitous that I'm doing my first clip ever about the month of Aries. And Aries is coming up. It's the first sign of the zodiac. There are 12 signs of the zodiac, and Aries is the first one. Aries is represented by the ram. I should say that it's starting this year in 2019 on March the 20th at 9:58 p.m. Greenwich time. And Aries is associated with the ram, and we like to depict Aries as this very headstrong and brave leader who takes us into battle. And there's a lot of also very positive beliefs about Aries, that very individualistic nature, the leadership. But Aries is also associated with this kind of contentious, warring, maybe even like bloody heritage, that archetype of the god of war. Aries is also associated with the planet Mars, the god of war. And while Aries is all of that, Aries is also the harbinger of spring. Without that desire to live, we could not be born. So Aries is also, that's why Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's the giving birth sign. It's the energy of the crocus that pops through the snow to tell us that spring is coming. And another sign of Aries, it is the ram, but like the spring lamb, it's also the lamb. So if you are an Aries person, or if you know an Aries person, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're this fearless leader and you're gonna, go headlong into battle. You could be a more restrained person. You could be somebody who, you know, likes to be led or likes to hang back. And sometimes you can be both, because within each sign is also its opposite. So maybe you are the lamb that's going to one day grow into being the ram, and you're just waiting for that opportune time. So with that, I'm going to talk about what is coming up for Aries in the next little while. So Aries is starting on March 20th this year at 9:58 p.m. And Aries' motto is I am. Aries is all about me. And that's an energy that we also need in this world. We need to remember who we are. And we need to remember that even though we are part of the whole, we're also individuals. And that's where Aries comes in. So in this upcoming month, so really already starting right now, started, I would say, last month even, Aries is going to be feeling the push and pull of Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion, optimism, spirituality, travel, higher learning, and that feels very big and exciting and expansive. And also, it's going to be feeling the opposite feeling of Saturn, which is the kind of more measured, countered, restrictive, look before you leap type of feeling. Jupiter's like, go for it. Saturn's like, think about it. And that is really coming into play on Aries right now. Both of those forces at the same time. And added to Saturn is also going to be Pluto. And Pluto is the planet of transformation, like big changes that are really out of our control. Both of these energies are really pushing on Aries right now. So Aries, you might be feeling, I can do this. I can go on this round the world trip now. I want to take this course that I've always wanted to take. And I'm feeling very spiritual. I'm feeling like I could go on my yoga retreat right now. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. You can do all of those things. But Saturn is saying to you, okay, if you want to go on that round the world trip, make sure, your rent or your mortgage is paid up. Make sure you have enough money. Dot your I's, cross your T's. If you want to do that yoga retreat, or you want to start that new course, just make sure that you can do that. It's throwing a little bit of cold water reason on your very Jupiterian big plans. And then you have Pluto in there too, which could mean that that things beyond your control are going to be also part of the mix. And Saturn and Jupiter are going to be there for a while. Saturn, in fact, is going to be there for the next year or so. But that Pluto energy, that transformation energy, that's going to be there if you're born at the end of the month. So that's right at the end of the sign, from I'd say April 12th to April 20th, you're going to be feeling this for the next 5 years. And if you're born at the beginning of the Aries, you've already been feeling this very transformative energy. Now, the energy of transformation of Pluto doesn't always feel like easy transformation. It's actually that lots of things, Pluto represents a lot of the things that are beyond our control as mortals. Like, we were born and we will die. Like, the seasons change, we have no control over them. Like, that fact that we will all grow old, those are very Plutonian sensibilities. And that might be what you're feeling right now. You might feel like you have no control over what's happening to you right now, that the changes in your life are so huge and so existential that you have no control. And guess what? You probably don't have any control, but neither do any of us. And what you can control, what you do have power over, is how you respond to those situations. So now is a really good time for you, Aries, and people who have Aries in their chart. Now is a good time for you to go deep and to accept the things that you can't control. And that can give you actually a kind of peace. So now's the time to meditate. Now's the time to build up a spiritual practice. Now is the time to really connect with that inner, spirit, oneness, God, however you want to call it. Now is the time for you to do that. And that's going to help you ride out the next period. Because transformation is inevitable. Change is inevitable. And it's really how you ride that change that's going to define this period for you. One other thing that you can do besides meditate, because you are such an active sign, you might want to do something that's a little bit more active. It could be a good time to start martial arts. It could be a good time to do something like Taekwondo or Qigong or something that's going to make you feel more connected to your energy. And it's also, a very good time to Marie Kondo your life on a spiritual level. What do you need? What are you hanging on to? Because Pluto's going to get rid of the stuff that you shouldn't be hanging on to anymore. And you can help Pluto by actually doing it yourself and being really honest about what you need and what you don't need. So Aries, when I say time to Marie Kondo your spiritual life, think also about your output of resources. What have you been spending your emotional resources on? What have you been spending your time on? And what have you been spending your emotional labor on? And now is the time to stop doing those things, the things that don't serve you anymore. Now is the time for you to clean it out, to clean out your spiritual closet, and to not do the things that don't serve you anymore. But one example of Marie Kondoing your emotional life is that maybe you're putting too much of your own resources into your job, too much emotional labor into your work. It might be time for you to leave that job. And in a Pluto and Capricorn situation, the way that it's hitting Aries, you might be fired from that job because the universe is saying you shouldn't be here anymore. But if you can take the time to actually go deep, you might decide on your own, I'm going to quit that job on my own terms, and I'm going to decide when it's best for me to leave that job without letting the powers that be or the universe decide that for you. The truth is that Pluto kicks your butt on a cosmic level, and it doesn't always feel good, but we usually need that butt kicking because that is what makes us change. When we feel too comfortable, when we just kind of give up, then we're not learning anything, we're not growing, and Pluto's going to make sure that you don't get complacent. We can't control what teaches us our lesson. But if we are conscious of and present during this period, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot about yourself, and you're going to come out of it on the other side a better person. So let's leave Pluto and its butt kicking aside for a little bit and look at some other things that are going to happen that is going to make your life easier and more fun and more enjoyable, which we all need more of. So two things are going to happen that are going to make Aries communication a lot easier this spring. One thing is that, like the rest of the world, Mercury is going to go direct and is going to go out of Pisces and into your sign, Aries. And combined with that, Mars, which is the planet associated with Aries, is going to go into Gemini, which is the sign of communication. So you're going to have two Aries associated things. One is Mercury going into Aries, one is Mars going into Gemini. That's going to really free up your communication, and it's going to allow you to really talk about what is on your mind, and it's going to allow you to communicate your heart's desire. So it's not necessarily one area of life. I wouldn't say it's stronger work or romance. It could be either of those. It could be anything, actually. It's just what you really need to say. You're going to be able to say it now. Another really nice transit that's going to be happening for Aries is that Venus, everybody's favorite planet of love, is going to be moving into Aries in the middle of April until the middle of May. And that's going to allow Aries to really think about or feel what they want, what they desire, what they value. Is going to bring it into sharp focus. It's also going to make you more lovable. And who doesn't want to be more lovable? It's going to make you more attractive. It's going to make you just feel altogether better. So it's not all, hard answers and questions for Aries. There's also going to be some great transits that are going to allow you to express who you are, be lovable, look for love, and think about what you value.